What is going on, guys? We are back here today with another video. Today we are talking about Aegislash. Yes, the old beast. I did the video what happened to Blaziken, and that video was a success. I had a lot of fun doing it. Seemed like you guys liked it, so I figured, what other Pokemon could I talk about in this type of format? And so, there's a bunch of them, Darkrai, Shaman S, and stuff like that. But I decided to do Aegislash instead because you know what? Aegislash, he even always gets his time in OU. It's always a couple weeks before he gets banned. Or at least that's what Gen 7 showed us. He existed for what, like a week or two maybe, and they got rid of him because Aegislash is just too much all the time. I remember in Generation 6 and XY, when this thing was released in the beginning of X and Y, it survived for about 7-8 months in the metagame before it was banned in the summer of 2014. But I remember back then I thought it was super broken. And now I'm thinking, it's been so many years since Aegislash been released. It's been 6 years now that this Pokemon's been around, but unfortunately, it's still banned to Ubers. So I thought, what if they did bring it back in Generation 7? Because we really never got a chance to see how this Pokemon would have changed the metagame. So with that, as you can see in the team builder, I have 4 different Aegislash sets, and we're going to basically be talking about what kind of Pokemon Aegislash could have been in the Generation 7 metagame, whether it was broken or not, and that kind of thing. Because again, like I said, it's been banned like the whole generation. We might as well go over it and see what we can get out of it. So for the first set, we have basically the most common set that was seen in Generation 6. That's basically what I'm using. I don't know why this is sassy. It should be quiet, but I'm basically using the sets that were hot in Gen 6 because Gen 7 didn't really give us a lot of information because, the thing was banned, but I did theorize some sets as well. But anyway, the first set, King Shield, Shadow Ball, Sacred Sword, Shadow Sneak, the offensive set. So, of course, King Shield, the move that basically works as Protect, and then Contact moves lower your opponent's attack by 2 stages if they attack you. Insane ability, which basically let Aegislash go between the 2 forms. As you guys can see, the offensive form has 150 base attacking stats, and then the defensive form has 150 base defenses. It's interesting because Aegislash's HP stat is pretty mediocre, but the typing is insane. Steel Ghost has too many resistances. Seriously, it resists way too much stuff, which is awesome. I'm happy that this mon is able to make use of its terrible HP with broken high defenses, plus the amazing typing and the amazing defensive move. It's no surprise to me that this thing got banned. It's just funny to me even looking back at this Pokemon and remembering how annoying this thing was to play. Because the biggest problem with Aegislash for me was the amount of mind games it would bring, right? King Shield, on a contact move, it would just be too tough sometimes dealing with Aegislash. But this is a set I theorized: King Shield, Shadow Ball, Sacred Sword, Shadow Sneak. This was a big set back in Gen 6, the mix set. I think in today's generation though, this might not be as good as it used to be. Just in general, things can probably wall this thing better. Like AV Tangrowth probably can dispose of this thing with Earthquake and Knock Off, get rid of its leftovers. Shadow Ball's not doing too much. Toxapex probably walls it as well. AV Magearna is walled by Aegislash, which is quite interesting. HP Fire probably doesn't do anything, and you probably get chipped harder by Sacred Sword, Shadow Sneak, Shadow Ball, all those moves. So interestingly enough, Aegislash is completely able to wall Magearna, which is amazing. That's awesome. Still loses the Landers T, of course, but but yeah, I think this set wouldn't actually be as good as it used to be in Generation 6. And that's because in Generation 6, this set was like really strong because 150 base attack stats were strong. But in Generation 7, that's just not the case. So I don't think it would be as good as it was. But let's move on to the next set. So this was a set I theorized. So Swords Dance used to be a big set in Gen 6 as well. But Swords Dance, of course, we haven't gotten a chance to see in Generation 7. And even in Generation 6, this fell off after a while. And people like to use Shadow Ball in the mixed sets more. But I was thinking, Swords Dance could still be viable. Obviously, there's stuff that is going to give it trouble, like Landers T and that kind of thing. But in general, I think this set could really take off. So I'm not sure about the EV spread. I'm pretty sure you could run speed to outspeed stuff like Celesteela, Rotom, stuff like that. Because if you do go max speed on Aegislash with the Adamant Nature, you're able to hit 219 speed, which is actually pretty fast. You're faster than Rotom and stuff like that, and you probably wouldn't expect it. If you go Jolly, you hit 240 speed, but I'd like to keep Adamant for just how high this thing's attack is. But I did Swords Dance, King Shield, Shadow Sneak, and Sacred Sword. You could probably run Iron Head over King Shield if you really wanted to. But I just figured, might as well keep King Shield. And I put Fightinium Z Sacred Sword because I figured that would be a great tech to be able to one-hit KO Celesteela, probably at least. It's funny because Aegislash still isn't as strong as Kartana. It's strong, but it's still not as strong as Kartana. That thing is still the strongest steel type. But yeah, I figured this set could actually be really great. You could break pretty easily, and you probably don't even have to Swords Dance to do a lot of damage. Like a Fightium Z Sacred Sword, probably Okos, Ferrothorn, stuff like that. It probably does a ton of damage. Aegislash is also a pretty decent check to Kartana because you can live non-banded knockoff, and you can switch into all of its other moves. So I figured putting Fight Z would be great because Sacred Sword alone is a pretty weak move. 90 base power won't be able to kill too many things. Like Heatran and stuff would be able to sponge it. but backed by the Z crystal, it would be able to kill a lot of the things that it's super effective towards. So I figured that'd be a great tech, and that this set could definitely take off as well. In a metagame nowadays where people use a lot of Scarf Landers T, that thing is really easy to chip with Stealth Rock, U-turn, stuff like that. Eventually Shadow Sneak would knock it out. But yeah, but I mean, this set is walled by Toxic Specs, as you can see. So you could probably run Shadow Claw, Ghost DMZ, or something like that. I know this thing even gets Head Smash and stuff. So Aegislash, you know, he has the options. You could probably definitely put Shadow Claw or Iron Head here, and break through pegs. But yeah, this is the SD set that I figured could be great. Moving on, this was another set that was hot in Generation 6, a defensive set. So Aegislash obviously has an amazing defensive typing. This thing is capable of walling Tapu Bulu, Tapu Lele. It's able to switch into Tapu Fini. And in general, that's pretty nice. So I figured, how would I make the most out of its good defenses? So I theorized a specially defensive build with King Shield, Toxic, Substitute, Shadow Ball. I think the moves can be switched. I think King Shield, Toxic, Shadow Ball are all pretty good, but Substitute I kind of just threw on there because that used to be a set that people ran, King Shield, Substitute. But I think in today's metagame, actually, I think if you run King Shield, Substitute, you're better off running Max Special Attack, because then you're able to sub up on Toxapex, live the thing Scald, and keep hitting Shadow Ball. Hopefully you get a special defense drop, and you're able to get past Toxapex. So I think if you run this set, you go Max Special Attack. But if you do Max Spadef, you're probably able to take on the Tapu Lele, Alakazam, stuff like that better. You could probably tech either Gyro Ball, Gyro Ball, Pursuit, stuff like that. You only really need to keep King Shield, which is great. And I always love keeping Shadow Ball. Then you can go Sassy, I guess. I always love keeping Shadow Ball. Because it's just a great stab move in general to have. Gyro Ball can get rid of all fairies, hits psychic types really hard. But I mean, I guess you got Shadow Ball. And then Pursuit is meant to trap stuff like Alakazam, Tapu Lele. Yeah, so I could see this set being really great too, supportively. It still gets walled by the same thing, but at least this thing is still strong. Like, 0 attack Aegislash hits 336 attack when it's in the blade form. So Gyro Ball would still do a lot to Landers T and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be completely dead weight versus teams with bulkier stuff. And the last that I had was a max speed naive set, max special attack, all out attacker. People had used this set in Gen 6 a few times. Max speed, all out attack, or like King Shield 3 attack, but just no bulk at all, no max HP, just max speed, trying to get as much hits off as they could. And I think this set has a lot of potential. This set in particular, I think, like in the hands of someone like me, a complete baller, I feel like this set would go off. Look at this shit. Z Go Shadow Ball, so you can 2-hit KO Pex, snipe that thing. Flash Cannon to get rid of the fairies, Sacred Sword, get rid of the steel types, and then Shadow Sneak because you need that priority. I feel like this set would go in crazy. And that's basically the 4 sets I had for Aegislash. Now let's compare it to the rest of the metagame. First of all, let's talk about other ghost types in OU, and let's talk about the competition that this thing is going to have. First off, Blissef is really good too. Blissef has a higher special attack stat, still makes use of Aegislash's best stab move, which is Shadow Ball. It doesn't get access to King Shield, but it's arguably better at breaking than Aegislash is. Aegislash could do more for a team support wise, but Cephalon doesn't really support at all. It's very frail, and the typing is not that great defensively. But it definitely does put some pressure on Aegislash, because Aegislash can't use choice moves either. You don't see Specs Aegislash or anything like that. You can easily put a choice item on Blacephalon and stuff like that. So that's just something to think about. Other than that, what was the other OU ghost? All the Mimikyus, which are trash, and then Gengar. So that's the competition it gets. So you can see that Aegislash kind of finds its own spot. If you compare it to stuff like Gengar, I think it's completely outclassed as Gengar, but Blacephalon could give it trouble. But they do play different roles with the fact that Aegislash is able to be defensive. You can use Aegislash as something that can switch into Tapu Lele, which is crazy, because only a handful of Pokemon can do that. So it's something to think about. It's like Celesteela and stuff like that. You can't compare something like Celesteela to Blacephalon. So that's basically what I'm trying to explain. The Aegislash has the defensive capabilities, which will differentiate it from stuff like Kartana, which could threaten it as an offensive Steel type, and Blacephalon, which could threaten it as an offensive Ghost type. But let's go through the OU viability rankings and just see how it matches up versus a lot of these mons. So Greninja Ash form, well, if it's not evolved, you live Specs, Dark Pulse, you can kill it back. Heatran similarly can't OHKO you without Z, but you don't OHKO it. Landers, Magearna, it's very amazing that Aegislash is completely able to wall Magearna. I think that's awesome. Gyro Ball will knock that thing out if you're running Spadef, and even the offensive set should be able to take on Magearna, because the best thing Magearna can hit an Aegislash with is what? Thunderbolt, right? Yeah, that's it. Literally only Thunderbolt. They don't run HP Fire on the offensive set. Assault Vest might run HP Fire, but I bet AV also takes care of that pretty easily. But yeah, all Shift Gear sets fail to really break Aegislash, so that's pretty nice that you completely wall it. Alakazam can put on the damage with Shadow Ball, but I mean, you got Shadow Ball of your own, plus Pursuit, all that stuff. You beat Ferrothorn, Garchomp beats you, Kartana, you Scout on it, so maybe a mind game, but you can also King Shield on its knockoff, take it out. Mawile, yeah, I mean, again, it's the Great King Shield mind games. Tornadus T is probably annoying because Tornadus T doesn't really need to get off damage, and knocking off Aegislash is already a big enough bonus. But if you're running my amazing Z move, Aegislash, you don't got to be worried about getting knocked off, and you can probably take care of Tornadus T. And then Pex, the Z move set will beat it, and Substitute will probably beat it if you spit F drop. But yeah, just looking at a lot of these Pokemon, you can see that they're not really able to switch into Shadow Ball. I think the offensive set would really have the best case, like the best results for me. The offensive Z move, Shadow Ball. Because he really doesn't have, like, OU really doesn't have too much to switch into a Z Shadow Ball, combined with that nice Sacred Sword coverage, Flash Cannon coverage. Like, the coverage on Aegislash is great. And while the speed is low, it has enough speed to take care of the key defensive mons. Like, it's able to hit 219 with a plus attack nature max speed, as we saw. 240 here with naive nature, and then 219 here. So, still pretty fast. And it still has its natural bulk, even with no investment. Like, what's 0 HP? 260, 261. So 261 and then 336 defenses. So you're still able to, like, take these random attacks more often than not. Like, you can take a random Earthquake and retaliate. So it's nice that you're able to at least trade your Aegislash if you need to, because the shield form, because the blade form is so strong and the shield form is so bulky. But all in all, Aegislash an amazing Pokemon. I think it would have been awesome to test this thing in Gen 7. I really don't know if I think it's broken or not. I think it would have been extremely powerful, one of the best Pokemon in the metagame, and maybe broken, just because of the mind games it brings. But I really do feel like it was something we could have tested out. But even looking at some of these teams, I feel like Aegislash should be such a threat. Like, this team, for example, could get messed up by my Z move Aegislash. Like, obliterated by my Z move Aegislash so badly. Just the offensive Aegislash in general could toss this team. Suicune isn't enough, because you can only set up Suicune, but what if they can force you out? That's not a long-term counter to Aegislash. Like this Hoopa U team, for example, oh my god, fucking smashed by Aegislash. You can say that for stuff like Blacephalon too, but Aegislash will stick around longer in a game. You know what I mean? It's also resistant to Stealth Rock, stuff like that. I've even seen Air Balloon Aegislash in the past. That's a set I should have explained. You can do Air Balloon on offensive as well, because you're able to completely wall Landers, T, Garchomp, all that stuff. Revenge Kill. Air Balloon HP Ice. Oh my god, we're going brazy. Aegislash can do anything. But yeah, this mod is awesome. I really wish at some point they tested it back in the tier. In general, I think it would have been an amazing top tier threat. Still not sure if it'd be broken. I think it would maybe be broken, but I think it would take a while to figure it out. Like, I don't know. I don't think it could be immediately broken, but looking through my teams, it has a pretty good matchup versus like all of my teams, from what I can see. Like, yeah, you can say the occasional Earthquake, Dark Pulse, or whatever on this offense can knock it out, or this Zard Y, but look how many mons it walls on a lot of these teams. Ground types in general aren't like, they're good versus Aegislash, but there's not a lot of long-term ground types that deal with Aegislash, is what I'm trying to say. And defensive mons, besides like AV, Tangrowth, and Pex, will have trouble. And even those mons can have trouble too, because you just got to play offensive with an offensive mon like Aegislash. But yeah, that's basically my Aegislash video. Awesome Pokemon. Tell me what you guys think below, what other Pokemon you guys want to see for this series. And that's basically all I got. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.